Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here. So the Washington Commanders made a move today, restructuring Laremy Tunsil's contract, creating about $15 million in cap space, a little bit less than that. What are they doing that for? A possible extension, maybe a trade. We're going to break it down in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. We're like 50 away from 16,000 subscribers. I know we can do it. Also with that like button, comment whatever you want. And let's get right into it. So it's game day today. We're going to talk about that at the end of the video, but I do want to go into this contract restructure because it is, significant. So that they restructured Laremy Tunsil's contract by converting $18 million of his salary into a bonus, as well as adding 3 void years. This frees up $14.4 million of cap space in 2025. Doesn't do a lot for the future years, adds some void years, which basically increases the dead cap number, which normally you do not like that. But if you're extending him, I believe it wouldn't really matter if you end up extending him. This just gives them, I believe, a little bit more money right now up front. Just makes it guaranteed the $18 million into a bonus instead of maybe it's not guaranteed. So he gets his money. That's good news, and the Commanders free up some cap space in 2025. That could be good news. It could be nothing. It could mean a bunch of different things. For the Commanders, it could mean maybe they're just going to extend him. Maybe they're doing it just to, please him a little bit and get on good terms for an extension down the line. Maybe they just want to carry over some more cap space into next year. Or maybe they want to make room for a big trade at the trade deadline. We'll talk about that later in the video. But all of those are possible. I think one of them or two of them are definitely more likely than the other. I think the most likely is they're trying to get an extension going for him. This is kind of some of the other information, from, Spot Track. He's under contract through 2026, $21.3 million, non-guaranteed in 2026. So, if they wanted to, they could release him, and it really wouldn't, they wouldn't really have to pay much if they released him next year. But that's not what they want to do. They traded for him. They gave up significant draft capital. Was it, first round value? No, but they gave up a decent amount to get him, and they want to have him for as long as possible. So, extending him is definitely something that's in the cards, and this definitely, makes it more likely that happens. He signed a 3-year extension with the Texans. Don't know exactly when that started, but it was $25 million a year. You see the deal right here that's being in place. Not sure if this is with the update or not, but you can see he would be a free agent in 2027. I believe this is with the new restructure because some of the money is you see the 3 extra years here. So the void in 27, 28, and 2029. So the Commanders still going to have some money there that they have to, they're going to have to pay, not necessarily him, but just it's dead money, I believe. I'm not completely sure how that works, but that's my 2 cents on the situation. So, good, I would say overall a good move for the Commanders. I believe this makes it way more likely that they're able to get an extension done with him, just adding those void years, making him a little bit happier right now, getting on his good side, and freeing up that cap space for this year, but more importantly, adding those void years just to prepare for the new deal. That's kind of my thoughts on the situation. He's going to get paid a lot, obviously over $20 million a year. I mean, if you look at the top tackles in football, I mean, they're getting paid a lot of money. We'll go ahead and look at it, but they're definitely getting paid a lot of money. And let's see, I guess it only goes for Commanders, but we'll go into that in a little bit, just some of the highest paid tackles. But you're going to have to pay more than $25 million a year for Laremy Tunsil, and that's fine. They're not paying a lot of guys on the offensive line. Josh Connerly is a rookie. He's on a rookie contract for, if it works out, 4 more years after this. Nick Allegretti, he's pretty cheap. He might have 1 more year, I believe. I know Tyler Biadasz is under contract for very, good deal for the Commanders for another year. Sam Cosmi is under contract. That's, a little bit expensive, but, nothing crazy. I mean, we can look at his contract right now, and man, this site has so many ads. But you see, Sam Cosmi has his deal. It ends in 2028, so he has a while until he's a free agent. So this offensive line is in a really, really good spot. Andrew Wiley is probably going to be gone in a little bit, but besides that, they're like in a really, really good spot. And losing Andrew Wiley isn't the end of the world, obviously, but I'm just saying in terms of who they have under contract, that's kind of the situation there. So I'll go ahead and pull it up here. Just go over the top paid tackles in the NFL, because Laremy Tunsil, he's not going to be the top because he is older and stuff like that. But you see some of these deals here, and I thought it was a little higher personally, so it might not be, they might not have to pay more than 25. Rashawn Slater got 28.5, Trent Williams got 27.5, Christian Darrisaw 26. So Laremy Tunsil is one of the better tackles in football, but I would be surprised if he got $28.5 million when Rashawn Slater at 26, who's on the same level, maybe better than him, he just got hurt. He's been dealing with injuries, but if he got 28.5, I would think that Laremy Tunsil, gets less than that for sure. So, they might end up saving money. Maybe it's a little bit less than that. But I would say around this $25 million range, because you look at the names under, like Andrew Thomas, I would say, Laremy Tunsil's 5 years older than him, but they're on the same, level, or Laremy Tunsil's better. And then also Andrew Thomas has a bunch of injury issues. And, Jake Matthews, I would say he's better than him. Tunsil's better than him. A lot of they're probably on the same level. Surprised the Eagles got him for that cheap for $22 million a year. But the Commanders are in a really good spot here. But real quick, a word from today's sponsor, and then we'll talk about if this could mean a trade. A huge shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring today's video. The Commanders play the Packers tonight, and you still have time to put in a pick. So I have 2 picks for this game. Josh Jacobs under 73.5 yards. Deebo Samuel over 46.5 yards, and Terry McLaurin to score a touchdown. That's one play, and the other play is very simple. Jordan Love over 175 yards, and Jaden Daniels over half a passing yard. So make sure you guys check out Sleeper. Use my code Pedro on Sleeper and get a 100% match up to $100. Link in the description. Terms and conditions apply. Let me know in the comment section below if you tail any of these picks. Alright, so again, a huge shout out to Sleeper, but let's talk about if this could mean a trade. They're creating $14 million in cap space. They have a decent amount already. Are they trying to make room for a trade to, go after a veteran? They've already done this, last offseason, trading for Marshawn Lattimore at the deadline. Adam Peters traded for Laremy Tunsil this past offseason. He traded for Deebo Samuel. He is not afraid to make trades. He also traded away Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson the year before. He's sneaky made a lot of, big time trades over the last, year and 6 months since he's been here. He's made, I guess, a little bit more than that, but he's made a lot of, moves, and he is not shy in terms of making a move at the deadline. So that is something to watch out for. The Commanders don't have a lot of draft capital, which makes it harder to make a trade. But hey, the 6th-round pick, it's not a lot that they got from the Brian Robinson trade, but first of all, already looking like a really good trade because, it's early. He's not looking too amazing in San Fran, and our running backs are looking good. But you get a 6th-round pick for him, that helps. Maybe you can use that to get I don't know. That depends on the position. Maybe a linebacker that you want, but I think we're fine at linebacker. But just in terms of, the position where you can, linebacker, I feel like, and running back, you can get really good players for low draft capital. But if you want a big-time player, you're going to have to give up, big-time draft capital. I just don't know if the Commanders are going to do that. Tyreek Hill, he might be available. I don't think the Commanders are going to want to do that. I mean, they already have Terry and Deebo. Those guys are getting paid a decent amount. And then also, those guys are older. So you're going to, they're not super old, but, they're 29 and 30. So, or Terry's about to turn 30. So are you really going to want to pay those guys that much money and extend, Tyreek Hill, or just trade for him anyways? He's on he's getting paid a lot. I don't know if that, makes sense. I don't think that would make sense. But this move also could just be creating more cap space. for maybe an extension now. But again, usually the extensions, the first year is way lower than the next year's. But maybe they could do something where, let's say if Debo continues to do well, maybe at the bye week they extend him, and I don't know if you can do this during the season, but you front load the contract for 2025, give him more money this year, and the next few years are a little bit lower because you are able to do that because of the cap space you have. That is a possibility the Commanders can do as well. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. The Commanders play tonight against the Packers, 8:15 at Lambeau Field. It's going to be a tough game for sure. I believe the Commanders will win this one. I am going to we'll go 31-27. Commanders get the win. The Packers are without their top two tackles, but two offensive linemen. Very likely two offensive linemen out for them. So I think the Commanders are in a good spot. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.